Before Elon Musk, before Rockefeller, before the Medici, there was one man whose wealth made every billionaire alive today look poor. His name has been almost completely forgotten, and what he did with his money broke an entire civilization. Mansa Musa ruled at a time when gold was the foundation of power. His personal fortune is almost impossible to grasp by today's standards. Contemporary accounts describe him as the richest man alive, and by some estimates, the richest person in all of recorded history. Arabic chroniclers like Al-Umari and Al-Makrizi wrote of mountains of gold flowing from Musa's hands. Modern economists try to put a number on it, somewhere between $400 billion and $600 billion, adjusted for today's value. That's not just more than any modern billionaire. It's more than the GDP of most countries. The core of Musa's wealth came from Mali's goldfields, Bambouk, Bure, and the Gambia Basin. At the height of his reign, Musa controlled about half of all the gold produced in the known world. That is not a legend. Geochemical surveys and medieval tax records back it up. Mali's mines produced around 1.5 tons of refined gold every year. The rest of the world was left to split what remained. This wasn't just gold in the ground or locked away in vaults. Musa could mobilize it. He could move it across deserts, stack it on camels, and use it to buy loyalty, build cities, or shake the economies of entire kingdoms. When he prepared for his pilgrimage to Mecca, he didn't just gather a few sacks of coins. He assembled a caravan loaded with gold, enough to change the fate of every city on his route. The scale is staggering. 18 tons of gold, carried by thousands of servants and camels. No ruler before or since has wielded that much raw economic power ready to spend. The world had never seen anything like it, and it would never see it again. The Mali Empire stretched across a vast sweep of West Africa, over 1.3 million square kilometers at its height. Its borders reached from the Atlantic coast deep into the Sahel, covering land that now belongs to Mali, Senegal, Guinea, Mauritania, the Gambia, and parts of Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, and Sierra Leone. This was not a kingdom tucked away in isolation. It was a crossroads, a network of rivers, savannas, and deserts threaded together by trade. To the south and west, the empire's goldfields, Bambouk and Bure, fed the world's hunger for precious metal. Northward, the salt mines of Tagaza sat in the heart of the Sahara, their white slabs as valuable as gold itself. Caravans moved along these arteries carrying gold, salt, ivory, cola nuts, and even enslaved people. The trade corridors were lifelines. One route ran from Bambouk and Bure up to Sijil Massa and Tamantit, linking Mali's gold to the markets of Morocco and beyond. Another stretched from Tagaza south to Niani, the royal capital, delivering salt that preserved food and kept armies on the move. Customs posts dotted the frontiers, extracting taxes from every passing load. Royal agents watched over the caravans, ensuring the emperor's cut from every transaction. These routes didn't just bring wealth, they made Mali a global player. Venetian and Genoese merchants minted coins from Malian gold. Cairo's markets depended on Saharan salt. The empire's reach was so complete that 2/3 of the gold circulating in the medieval Mediterranean flowed from these lands. This web of roads and rivers made it possible for Mansa Musa to assemble a caravan on a scale the world had never seen. The logistics of moving tons of gold, thousands of people, and herds of animals across deserts and savannas were only possible because the empire itself was built for trade. Mali wasn't just rich, it was connected. An empire of movement, power, and ambition on a continental scale. Mansa Musa's caravan was less a traveling court and more a moving city. 60,000 people marched out of Niani, soldiers in armor, scholars in flowing robes, merchants, cooks, musicians, and thousands of servants. At the heart of this procession, Musa commanded order like a general. Every detail was planned. 12,000 servants each carried a gold staff, nearly 2 kilograms apiece, enough to buy a house in Cairo or a ship in Venice. 500 heralds, dressed in silks and bearing gold-embroidered banners, announced Musa's arrival at every village and oasis. 80 camels lumbered forward, each loaded with over 100 kilograms of gold dust. That's more than a ton on every 10th camel. The gold alone weighed as much as a city's treasury. The route stretched for thousands of kilometers, across savannas, through the baking heat of the Sahara, past salt mines and hostile tribes. Supply teams managed water, food, and shelter for an army-sized crowd. Royal accountants tracked every ingot and coin. Musa's word was law, and every order rippled through the ranks. The spectacle was impossible to ignore. A river of people, animals, and gold, winding its way toward Cairo. No one in the medieval world had ever witnessed wealth on this scale in motion. The journey had only just begun, and already the world was watching. In Cairo, gold poured into the markets like water breaking through a dam. Merchants watched as prices tumbled. The gold dinar, once a symbol of stability, lost a quarter of its value almost overnight. Mansa Musa's generosity, gifts to scholars, sultans, and the poor, triggered a supply shock so severe that Cairo's economy buckled under the weight of his fortune. The official exchange rate for a mithqal of gold dropped from 12 dirhams to just 9. That is a 25% devaluation, written in the ledgers of Mamluk scribes and echoed in every marketplace from Egypt to the Levant. The sudden flood of gold made the metal less rare, less precious. Silver and copper coins grew more popular as people scrambled for stable value. Sultan al-Nasser's officials raised taxes and restricted gold minting, desperate to slow the collapse. But the damage was done. For 12 years, the price of gold in Cairo stayed low. Traders who once profited from scarcity now faced shrinking margins. Recovery was slow and painful, rippling out across the Mediterranean. No single act of spending by any individual had ever caused such a shock before or since. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage was not just a spectacle. It rewrote the rules of wealth for an entire region, proving that too much gold in the wrong place at the wrong time could be as destructive as too little. Gold built more than palaces. In the heart of Timbuktu, Mansa Musa poured his fortune into stone, mud, and knowledge. He summoned Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, a celebrated architect from Granada, to design the Jingwereber Mosque. Construction finished in 1327. Its walls rose from river clay and desert timber, paid for by royal gold. The mosque became the city's anchor, a place of worship, law, and learning. Its minaret, a beacon for travelers crossing the Sahara. But Musa's vision reached beyond architecture. He transformed Sankore from a modest mosque into a university that drew scholars from Cairo, Fez, and the Maghreb. At its height, Sankore's classrooms and courtyards held as many as 25,000 students. Manuscripts on astronomy, law, and mathematics filled the libraries. Scribes and teachers copied texts in Arabic and local languages, funded by steady streams of gold from the royal treasury. Timbuktu's reputation spread across continents. For a moment, the city stood at the crossroads of the Islamic world, as famous for its learning as for its riches. After Mansa Musa's death, the empire's golden age faded fast. His chosen heir, Magan I, struggled to hold the center. Governors and generals carved out their own power, ignoring royal commands. The gold fields that once seemed endless began to run dry. Trade routes shifted. New rivals rose from the east. By the late 1400s, the Songhai Empire took control of the Niger Bend, seizing Timbuktu and the last strongholds of Mali's wealth. The empire fractured into smaller kingdoms, each weaker than the last. Then, in 1591, Moroccan armies crossed the desert with gunpowder and foreign mercenaries. They crushed the defenders at Tondibi and marched into Timbuktu. Libraries burned. The Sankore Madrasa was looted. Centuries of scholarship vanished in a single campaign. Manuscripts were lost, teachers scattered, and royal treasures seized or destroyed. The Mali Empire, once the richest in the world, became a memory. Its gold spent, its cities emptied, and its story nearly erased by time. Wealth on this scale can rewrite economies, redraw maps, and still vanish almost overnight. The real lesson is not the gold, it is how power fades and memory fails. He owned more than half the world's gold. He gave it away freely, and within 100 years, everything he built was gone. History's richest man left almost nothing behind except a story that most people have never heard.